Thanks, everyone. It's great to be here at SmartCon 2024. I'm Scott Dykstra, CTO of Space and Time. Space and Time was at SmartCon 2022 in New York, 2023 in Barcelona, and it's so great to be here, 2024 in Hong Kong, and our third SmartCon. It just keeps getting better and better. A little bit about myself, background in data warehousing, spent about 10 years building petabyte scale data warehouses for the Fortune 500, and I was kind of shocked when I entered the crypto space in about 2020, started looking at smart contracts, and I was like, hey, Solidity smart contracts have no access to data on chain. Like a simple question, like show me the total volume of Scott's wallet's transactions cannot actually be retrieved from a smart contract. They have no ability to query historical on-chain blocks, transactions, events, activity. Basic questions that we're so used to in the business world of like asking questions about data using SQL, using databases cannot be done on chain. There's no query engine. There's no way to retrieve trustlessly data from the chain without incredible tools like Chainlink to bring a trust minimized oracle that provides that data. Smart contracts by themselves without oracles have limited access to on-chain data. Now, there's a nascent kind of budding market of ZK VMs, ZK coprocessors, ZK solutions that are trying to solve this by essentially accessing chain state or kind of using signed block hashes as a source, and then allowing for ZK proven, meaning cryptographically tamper-proof computations against that data that are then proven back to a smart contract and verified on chain. We also have teams that are trying to connect centralized enterprise databases or centralized enterprise data warehouses to smart contracts, and that becomes a bit challenging in a trust minimized or truly trustless world when you're connecting a trusted centralized database to smart contracts. And the market, both enterprises as well as on-chain DeFi developers, need a solution to ZK prove or cryptographically prove SQL-style computations so that smart contracts can ask questions about data. In addition, AI agents have the same problem. As AI comes on chain, as more teams start to build sophisticated agents that help users transact on chain and help users and actually autonomously transact on chain themselves, they need context about on-chain market data, lending protocols, DeFi yields, context via retrieval augmented generation. And so Space and Time is also starting to provide trustless, verifiable data to AI agents in addition to smart contracts. Putting it all together, Space and Time is sort of a decentralized database that trustlessly proves SQL queries against indexed chain data, against data we've collected from every major chain. We ingest blockchain data via kind of a network of indexer nodes, and our own clients, mainly enterprises and a lot of like financial institutions in America that are loading their own off-chain data onto Space and Time. And once it's loaded in, Space and Time is a decentralized database that can prove that the tables themselves have been tamper-proof and that the actual execution against those tables are tamper-proof as well. And we can prove data to smart contracts and AI agents. In 2015, we saw this era of smart contracts launch, right? This idea that you can have these scripts, JavaScript-like scripts that run kind of redundantly on chain, and the chain comes to consensus and verifies that they were executed correctly to verify transactions. Chainlink ushered about DeFi summer by bringing price feeds on chain in a trust-minimized way and allowing smart contracts to finally access some data, aggregated data points about price feeds. Once like smart contracts could access the current average price of, let's say, Matic token as an example, suddenly, the design space for developers, for smart contract developers, is open widely. We have a very wide and exciting new expressive design space for DeFi where we can now liquidate loans by using price feeds. But we believe strongly kind of the next wave or the next generation of data-driven, sophisticated smart contracts will be Chainlink plus Space and Time, where we're not just allowing an oracle to provide single aggregated data points, but allowing smart contracts that use Chainlink functions to ask any question about the history of Ethereum, the history of ZK Sync era, the history of a variety of EVM L2s, allow a smart contract on Era to ask questions about collateral over on Arbitrum and get trustless answers next block. The same way that they use Chainlink functions to get off-chain API data or use Chainlink price feeds to get an aggregated price feed next block. Allow smart contracts to ask questions opens up the design space and allows smart contracts to ask questions like, again, simply, what's the total volume of transactions that Scott's wallet has as executed on chain? Or what's the total volume of loans that Scott's already paid off on chain? Or hey, as Scott goes to claim an airdrop, has Scott completed certain on-chain activity to prove his loyalty and earn that airdrop? Or hey, before I allow Scott to LP into this Uniswap pool, let's look at Scott's wallet's history and make sure he's staked one of the tokens in that pool for at least 6 months. These simple questions that we're so familiar with as developers using SQL databases like Postgres or Snowflake or you name it, we can now do on-chain. Space and Time is bringing this on-chain. And we're so excited here at SmartCon 2024 to announce testnet of the Space and Time chain. The Space and Time chain is the blockchain for ZK-proven data. And of course, we got to announce it here at SmartCon with among all our friends and our community members. We're excited to be here, and we're excited to give this back to the community. When we first started Space and Time and did about 3 years of very tough research trying to figure out how do we quickly ZK prove, or how do we use math to prove SQL database operations, this was very much a research project. It took about 3 years to make it fast, make it work on chain. We always intended to kind of give this back to the community, decentralize it, build a permissionless chain that the community owns, anyone can run validators, make it very easy to kind of spin up home validators, contribute your own node back to the network, and kind of participate in this truly decentralized network that first kind of collects data, secures it, and then proves it to smart contracts. At the bottom of this architecture, we have a DePIN network of indexing nodes. So Space and Time is this network of nodes that index or collect data from every major chain. They securely kind of send those transactions of insert statements to the Space and Time chain itself, the validators. Those validators witness and secure that index chain data. They sign cryptographic hashes for each table so that we can prove that each table mathematically has not been tampered. A decentralized database in those nodes, essentially a database attached to each of those validators that stores the data. And then finally, DeFi smart contracts on chain that can ask for ZK-proven SQL questions against that data. It's a 3-layer network. Indexers collect, chain validators secure, provers are a query engine that returns SQL query results to clients on chain through Chainlink functions. Space and Time, to a Chainlink developer or a smart contract developer that's comfortable with Chainlink, Space and Time is just like another API, right? It's another external API they can call. But in this case, they're not just getting back an answer, they're getting back an answer plus a ZK proof. And what does this offer to L1s and L2s? We have a growing ecosystem of popular L1s and L2s that are starting to integrate Space and Time and are excited for us to index their chain and collect data from their chain, but also ZK prove query results back to smart contracts on their chain to power a new generation of DeFi. These L1s and L2s get a verifiable database, right? It's like Dune Analytics, but ZK proven. A familiar SQL data model, a blocks table, a transactions table, a smart contract event logs table that's easy to query. It's easy to find your protocol's data. And it gives devs just a better experience when just building analytics, building dashboards. But more importantly, they get a ZK coprocessor. All that means is a coprocessor is like a GPU sitting next to the chain or a server sitting next to the chain that can cryptographically or mathematically prove computations and return it back to the chain. It's a way for smart contracts to offload storage and compute. It's a way for smart contracts to not have to do very, very heavy computational activities on chain redundantly across the chain with consensus, but rather offload that to a ZK coprocessor next to the chain. Another fun thing that we bring to L2s and L1s is kind of a wealth of TradFi data, terabytes of data that we've collected from TradFi markets that we can also prove to smart contracts. Think average price of Tesla stock, but historical information. Show me Tesla stock over the last 90 days. Also, if you kind of look bottom to top here on this diagram, we're first kind of collecting both on-chain and off-chain data. So the Space and Time network as a whole kind of securely, verifiably, cryptographically, trust minimized way grabs this data from all these different chains, and then clients are loading their own off-chain RWA data, market data, DePIN data, et cetera. Now, what about Chainlink? Where does Chainlink come into this? Why are we so excited to be launching testnet here at SmartCon, and why are we so excited to be partnering with the Chainlink community and the Chainlink devs to enable this? Well, Chainlink acts as a lower cost off-chain verifier for the Space and Time proofs. The problem that a lot of Ethereum specific developers have is gas gets very very costly at times. There are times when Ethereum gas is almost overwhelmingly or prohibitively expensive. And so Chainlink actually offers a much lower cost way for us to verify our proofs and deliver already verified, already Chainlink signed data to client contracts on chain. So we're returning to Chainlink Dawn the query result and the proof. Chainlink Dawn is verifying that proof. Chainlink comes to consensus and with low cost delivers the final already verified query result to clients on chain. So you could think like client asks Chainlink for some data. Chainlink then pings space and time network and says, run this query against this DeFi protocol's on-chain information. Give us back an answer. Chainlink verifies that answer and returns it to the client next block. Chainlink offers a much better developer experience for accessing this data quickly. And there's so many developers that are already building with Chainlink, and there's so many DeFi protocols that are already comfortable integrating. How do we make it fast? We spent about 3 years doing some very tough research, a lot of trial and error, I'll admit, to figure out one thing. Prove SQL quickly. Not at 100-row table scale, not at the scale of one smart contracts events, but the scale of the entire chain history. Allow smart contracts to say, hey, for this set of wallets, show me their aggregated total volume over the last 2 years, right? Not just the last 2 minutes. We knew that it would require some very tough research to figure out how to get sub-second proofs or sub-second queries against a lot of chain data, right? And smart contracts are asking space and time for some query results during a transaction, meaning the client's waiting. Scott's going to take out a loan. The lending protocol smart contract needs to ask space and time, hey, has Scott already paid off some loans? Because if so, I'm going to give him a better borrow rate. That's during my transaction. So the smart contract needs data back very quickly. It can't wait 2 minutes, worst 2 hours, right? It can wait maybe 2 blocks, maybe. So we need to return data back to the chain as fast as possible and not make space and time the long pole in the tent or the slow kind of piece in the architecture. The way we did it is we just hyper-focused on SQL. We spent years just focusing on what would a ZK proof specifically for the kinds of computations that SQL does, aggregating data, filtering data, sorting data, projections, joins, and that's it. We're not supporting arbitrary Rust scripts. We're not supporting arbitrary EVM opcodes. We're just focused on SQL against chain data, because that's what clients need so badly right now. What does this enable across the board from DeFi to on-chain loyalty to AI agents? Well, kind of going, I guess, left to right here, this is kind of ordered in the number of clients that space and time is kind of helping build on-chain. Lending, cross-chain derivatives allow a derivatives protocol on-chain to access historical price information in order to calculate implied volatility on 2 different markets on 2 different chains. The lending protocol example I just gave you, looking up Scott's previous kind of on-chain transactions in order to give him a better borrow rate if I've already paid off loans. We do a lot of work in DePIN. Right now, there's this growing market of DePIN protocols that need a way to know which nodes completed which jobs, pay them, slash them, etc. Airdrop teams that are using space and time to trustlessly look up on-chain loyalty. Before Scott claims an airdrop, look up his wallet and see if his wallet's already done some on-chain activity that makes him eligible for the airdrop. A lot of work with RWAs, financial institutions off-chain that want to onboard their bonds, their equities, et cetera. And then, of course, AI agents that need context about what's on-chain that are going to facilitate large transactions. A quick call to action here, spaceandtime.io/testnet. If you're running a validator, if you're a node operator, if you're a staking service, we'd love to have your participation. We are literally launching testnet today. Over the next few weeks, we're spinning up a large number of validators, and we're going to drive on a road to mainnet over the next 3 or 4 months. And we're so thrilled to have you guys here, and we're thrilled to be here ourselves. Build with space and time, usher in a new era of sophisticated data-driven smart contracts. Thank you all.